So, would you say it has gotten better for LGBTQ youth over the past, say, like 20 years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you don't have to do it in secret. There's
Hmm.
the internet, which a lot of people decry and say, "Oh, it's so terrible what's happening to young people," and because they're always on their phones and they're always on the internet. And look, there are a lot of dangers in it. We know that. But these young people they've been raised on the internet and with their phones. They've learned to navigate it in the same way that I learned to navigate the mall when I was, 14 and 15. When they're in fourth and fifth grade, they're online asking questions, finding out about themselves and who they are. They're actually able to find other people. They're able to communicate in ways that I only had a telephone, and there was only one telephone in my house. So I wasn't able to stay on it a lot of the time. But I think that it's given them such access to the world that they can see reflections of themselves out there in the world. And that's you just feel less alone. You're not crazy. I mean, I actually thought I was the only gay person in the entire world up until I was about 15 years old.
Where'd you grow up?
New Jersey, a
Okay.
suburb in New Jersey. But there was nobody in my environment. Nobody. I mean, nobody who was out. And certainly, it was never discussed. And it wasn't on TV and it wasn't anywhere except in me. That was the only place that I knew I could identify it. And I didn't even have a word for it. So if you say, if people ask me if it's gotten better, I'm like, yeah.
Hmm.
And I look around and I think, I never, ever could have imagined the young people that I meet today. They are way beyond anything that I could have imagined. Just how smart they are and um, how cool they are, how full of hope they are in the face of. I think one of the reasons I did this show, Poof, is because I really wanted to get people's hopes up because many of the people I know don't have much hope for the world. And I look at these young people and they're terrified and nervous for sure and having to face what looks like a really bad news in terms of our survival, but
Hmm.
they have a lot of hope. And I really want people to start to think about, like, well, what do we want to imagine beyond this apocalyptic, you know, end? Like, what do we want to imagine for ourselves and for our young people? What kind of a world do we want to create? We have to start creating it now for them. We
Hmm.
can't wait for them to do it, and we shouldn't.
So I want to run this by you because, I started just paying greater attention to the world around me in about 2004. And, like at that time,
How old were you?
I'm 38.
How old were you in 2004?
I was like 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I was basically, I mean, I had some exposure. And I actually, my first time learning about just gay people was actually via my parents. So I guess I can go back a little further. Like I was about 9 or 10 years old, and like a 9 or 10 year old who didn't know any better, I called something gay in front of my mom, and my mom said, "What does that mean?" And I go, "What? What does what mean?" And she goes, "You just said that's gay about something. What does that mean?" And I said, I don't know. It's just kids in school say it. It means that it's stupid." And she goes, "Well, that's not what it means. Do you know that?" And I go, I don't know." And she goes, "You know our friends Mike and Ray?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "You love spending time with them." And I go, "Of course I do." And she goes, "They're not roommates." And I never said it again.
Oh my God, I love your mom. She's so great. Just tell her I said hi and
I
thank
will. I
you. Thank
will.
you.
I will.
That
Yeah.
was
So,
well done. Well done, Ron's mom.
ah, I will let her know. Yeah, and I never said it again. And yeah, and they're still some of our best family friends to this day. Their kid is brilliant, and she's about to go off to college. So I had some, but as far as like waking up to the political world and seeing the um homophobia from the Bush administration, I really became hyper aware of that in around 2004 via the Iraq War. I had more LGBTQ people in my life because I was in college. And, you know, I remember that. And of course, I remember, getting past that and feeling like society had evolved some, celebrating in the streets when gay marriage was signed into law. And now I see what's happening, particularly to trans people.
Mm-hmm.
And I see what's going on in places like Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I realize that my perspective is just what I see. But I feel like there is a certain level of cruelty where it is as barbaric as we want these people out of existence. And to me, it is just frightening to the point where sometimes I wonder, are we going backwards?
Yeah, but it's important to understand that the people who are being cruel it's a very small minority. And that most people, and I'm sure you have, well, I'm guessing because as I travel around the United States and I work with young queer people, everywhere I go, people are incredibly open-hearted about it. And they've moved beyond it. Most people understand that this is not the issue that those divisive, cruel people would have us believe. And they are doing it in order to instill fear in people like you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very it's not a new tactic. They did it when I was 18, 19 years old. They had an all-out campaign to eliminate gay people just as I was coming into the world. And I was like, they're insane. They're insane. And what they're terrified of is being themselves. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid that we will but when you ask me, has it gotten better? The reason it has gotten better is because your family friends,
Mike and Ray are their names. Yeah.
Mike and Ray told their stories. They came out to their friends and to their families. And people went, we love you, Mike and Ray. We love you. Like, you can be yourself. Like, it's okay. It changed the way the world was organized because people had the courage at a particular moment over a period of time, from the 1980s to the 2000s and beyond. And they said, we have to do this. We have to tell our parents. We have to tell my aunt. We have to tell our cousins. We have to tell our children. People actually used their good sense and their sense of courage. They summoned it and they revealed who they were, which was an amazing thing that happened in this society. And now there are too many people, and there are too many young people. Let me tell you, there's an army of young people who, even if they don't identify as queer, are aligned with queer people and are not having it. They're not having it. They're not going to stand by and watch their friends be silenced and disappeared. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think that there are enough parents who are going to allow their children to be disappeared. And I just think, look, we certainly know that there are enough people still who don't allow their young people to express themselves. But I'd say by and large, that has changed. And it's going to change, if I have anything to say about it.